Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session called Front Office Terminology 5. As you know, this is a series of jargon, front office technical terms, and your basics. I hope you have followed, enjoyed, and learned from the earlier videos, front office terminology 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's see what we have. As you know, I'm Dr. Samir Divanji from AIS SMS, and I've got some more terms for you in this video. We've stressed enough on the importance of technical knowledge and how it is essential to be an excellent hotelier, and not just to understand and define, but understand it really well with eye for detail. This is extremely important for all students across years, first years, as well as final years for campus interviews. Let's start with a term which is not completely front office, but cross-cutting all departments, TQM, Total Quality Management. So actually it's a management technique that helps us, the top management, to look at processes that are used to create services and products with a critical eye on improving those processes. So here, basically, it could be some hotels are following Kaizen or Six Sigma. Whatever it is, it's a process improvement that we are looking at. What is a process? How can we improve it? And how can we derive maximum satisfaction for the guest? All right. So total quality management is essential in any form that you do in your hotel or any organization. I come to one formula again, a yield statistic. We did quite a few formulae in the last few videos. So it's a simple statistic, but it's important to know that it's a statistic that compares actual room revenue with potential room revenue. Now, fine, actual room revenue is something you have already, you get, you compute it. But what is potential room revenue? Simple, rack rate of every room category into the number of rooms in that category in your hotel. So the maximum that you can make if you sell every room of your hotel at the rack rate or the highest possible rate, that is your potential room revenue. So this gives you actually what's your performance vis-a-vis what could be your performance. So this is known as yield statistic. Atrium concept. Yeah, you look up from the lobby and you see open to the sky. Of course, there's a glass ceiling maybe or a covering, but atrium concept basically is when your guest rooms and the corridors of the overlook the lobby, right from the first floor to the roof. All right. It was first used by Hyatt as per some books in 1960s, the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta. All right, architect John Portman is said to have used this, and it looks really impressive. The photo here is not Hyatt. I'm sure you know this. This is the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. All right, that also has this atrium concept. Access control. Some terms may seem a little unusual to you, but it's important to know this. Today, we are in times where security is of utmost importance, even more than before. And this is a security feature where your room key card also acts as your security card, in the sense you cannot loiter on any other guest floor. You show this or you flash this or you insert this in the elevator, your key card, and then you can only access your floor. So if you're in room 502, obviously it's on the 5th floor, you have to flash your key card or insert your key card in the elevator, and it only goes to the 5th floor when you press 5. If you try pressing any other buttons, no floors are accessible to you, except if a gym is on a particular floor which is accessible to everybody, but no guest room floors other than your floor. Upselling, we all again have to keep upselling our property, our rooms, our product and services. So it's a process of selling a more expensive version of the service or product. So if the guest is booked for a standard room, you upsell the features, the view, the amenities, and then they say that it's just by paying an extra 1,500 rupees, you get all this. All right, so upselling. So if a guest is booked for a standard category, you book him or you convince him to buy a deluxe room or a suite. That is basically upselling. Not to confused, not to be confused with cross-selling, which is basically you sell something which is complementary to that room. Yeah. So if in that for a room you in a hotel, when your guest is staying with you, you also sell the spa. That's cross-selling. All right. Great. Discrepancy report. The housekeeping makes this report based on the status of the rooms. If the rooms have a discrepancy, any discrepant rooms, as they say. So difference in the status. For example, if the front office status shows that the room is vacant, but actually when you see that uh, the room is occupied. Obviously, what has happened is the front office has done the check-in of the guest, but forgotten to show it on the system. Hence, you can see guests. Or it could be that the guest is not, has actually uh, staying in the room without the knowledge of the front office either. So it could be any of these cases, or vice versa. The room may be vacant, but it's still showing as occupied by front office because they have forgotten to show a checkout on the system. So it's important to investigate any discrepancy. I come to this simple term, but I'm taking it up because there's a lot of confusion around it. Heritage hotels, any structure, beautiful structure like a Haveli, erstwhile hunting lodges in British times, or beautiful forts, palaces, castles of kings built prior to 1950, but now are converted into hotels. So anything which is built prior to 1950 and now a hotel is known as a heritage hotel. In that there are again categories. If it's anything before 1950 is a heritage, of course, but heritage classic is only when it's built prior to 1935. And even before that, before 1920, if it's built, it's called a heritage grand. Of course, there are other criteria like so many rooms, 5 rooms and 10 beds at least, etc. But for now, and it's important to know that anything prior to 1950 is heritage, heritage classic before 1935, and heritage grand before 1920. Again, a term which is really close to my heart. Why? Because we often buggle it up. It is it when I worked in the hotels, we blatantly called the rooms handicapped rooms. But now, of course, that's not the way we've evolved. Hopefully, so now it's not right to call it handicapped. It's not even right to call it physically challenged. Now, the correct way of saying it is differently abled. Rooms for differently abled or differently abled guests, because they may not be able to walk the way you're walking, but they are abled in a different way. They are able to do other things which you're not. These are, of course, rooms with special features. Now, differently abled could be not just as the picture says, wheelchair bound. It could be a little vision impairment, not 100% vision. It could be any other things which are different, or some sort of a challenge. All right. Rooms obviously have special features. As per law, it's mandatory to have some rooms in your hotel which are for differently abled guests. The rooms, right from the security to the access to the wide door for a wheelchair to pass to the height of furniture and bathroom, a lot of things are very different. Service recovery, again, we keep hearing this in the industry very often, but not very commonly used in academics. Uh, these are steps taken to pacify and compensate an irate guest so as to have a long professional relationship with that guest. So we don't want a guest to be unhappy and complaining and leave like that. Complaints happen in the best of hotels in the world, but how you handle them makes all the difference. So, in fact, when you have a situation or a complaint, that is, in fact, an opportunity to convert that guest into a lifelong guest or a professional friend or a loyal guest. I've seen service recovery even as big as a holiday given to a guest. I remember a hotel chain that I worked with. There was a big botch up in the Delhi hotel of that chain, and that guest was flown free of charge, obviously with compliments from the hotel, to Maldives for a special stay of 5 days as part of service recovery. So service recovery can be anything as small as giving a discount in the bill, or waiving of a food charge, or giving an upgrade in the next stay, to a completely complimentary holiday or vacation if it's a really big complaint and a very important guest. So depends on the degree of the complaint. All right. So service recovery is very important. You try to recover whatever damage you've done, damage control, and try to pacify the guest. All right. Sometimes even a good sincere apology, or your sales team in Mumbai going and meeting them in their office with some flowers and wine and chocolates with our compliments, can do the trick. All right. Then we come to left luggage concept. That concept is basically, there's a room in the front office called left luggage room, and that's in somewhere in the back office, and that has all the luggage that is left behind by the guest. All right. So why do guests leave luggage? It is probably because they're going in the morning, checking out in the morning, but their flight is only in the evening. So they may want to keep their bags at the hotel and come back to the hotel after their day's work and meetings, and then take their luggage instead of taking the luggage everywhere during the day to their offices. Or it could be that that guest is a regular and he's checking in again after 2 days. So he's divided his bags into two pieces of luggage. One bag he carries along, one he keeps in, and he will collect it when he checks in after 3 days or next week. There's a left luggage room, there's a tag, and you give that tag to the guest so that that's a record. Again, this term I've included here because single lady traveler is a growing market segment. Hotels are increasingly aware that they need to do more. Typically, a single lady is a lady traveling on business uh, purpose, and a hotel may have very different or special amenities, features for such lady travelers. To start with, basically giving a room which is suitable, closer to the elevator. A, a hotel chain like ITC has a separate floor called EVA floor, which is dedicated to single lady travelers. Special amenities could include, again, more strict access, video camera at the entrance, call screening for any calls or visitors, special amenities in the room like vanity kits, etc. Yeah, so you need to ensure that the single lady travelers feels safe, cared for, and pampered. Layover is another term, not to be confused with layoffs or stayovers. Layovers are basically airline guests who have to be there flying by a particular flight, but some technical snag develops or the connecting flight is delayed, and the airline then accommodates all of them in your hotel. So when I was working in front office, I once suddenly got a call from the airport, from the airline, saying that, listen, I'm getting 75 guests to stay with you. Do you have rooms? On twin sharing, of course. So we had to ready about 35 to 40 rooms for these layovers who are going to come in an hour. All right. So you have to take that call, and the entire bill is on the airlines, because it's the it's because of a reason of the airlines that the guest had to be uh, accommodated. So it could be a technical snag in the aircraft, or it could be any other issues connecting to the flight. In this case, usually the room and basic meals are provided by the airlines, bill to company, that's the airlines. Any extras like minibar, alcohol, of course, have to be paid by guests. Wash and change room, again commonly used in the industry. It's a room offered to guests to freshen up. Various situations would include, remember the left luggage, as I said, the guest is checking out in the morning because your checkout time is 10 a.m. But he is in the city attending meetings the whole day. He'll come back to the hotel, collect his luggage for his evening flight. But also he may ask you for a wash and change room. What does that mean? He goes to the room, quickly changes into his clothes or takes a shower, freshens up, and is ready. We also offer that to guests who need a late checkout, but we cannot because we are sold back to back. So guests who have requested for late checkouts and we cannot accommodate them, we offer them, sir, I cannot give you a late checkout, so may I request you to please check out in the morning. However, I can offer you a room for half an hour or 1 hour to quickly freshen up in the evening. Does that work? This usually then works for the guest. The guest feels nice about it, and you also have a win-win because you don't have to block a particular room. SOP, standard operating procedure. It's a document that standardizes a process for everyone to follow the hotel's brand standard. All right. So every time it's consistent service, excellent, consistent service. You don't miss a single thing then. Even the front office, a check-in is an SOP. There's an SOP for check-in process where everything is followed by everyone. So it doesn't depend from employee to employee or shift to shift. A standard is followed. So an SOP is followed in hotels in all departments. It's as simple as how to take a call of a guest, the standard line that you say. Everything is an SOP. All right. So SOP gives the steps to follow in any situation or any process that is identified by the hotel along with the hotel brand standard. Lead time, the time between the guest making a reservation and his actual check-in is known as a lead time, that time period. So if the lead time is really big or large, then chances are that the guest may cancel or maybe have change in plans. So you need to check and reconfirm. F&B service also has a concept of lead time where the guest has placed his order and the actual service of his food. That's the lead time. So you have to ensure in service, F&B service, that the lead time is not too much. You promise him 10 minutes and it's 10 minutes for a starter, or you promise him 20 minutes and it's 20 minutes for a main course. For front office, lead time, as I said, when he makes a reservation and his actual check-in, some hotels do not open bookings for a big time period. That is 3 months in advance, you may not open the room booking yet. But again, it depends on the type of hotel and the kind of clientele you get. So these were the terms that we discussed today. I hope you understood them and now are more clearer about concepts, especially things like the yield statistic or access control or heritage, differently abled, and you will never call them handicapped or physically challenged. You will definitely do a great service recovery, as simple as an apology or an apology tray with a note, flowers, and maybe something with compliments from the chef. Or you will take care of your single lady travelers. You know what's a layover. You will develop excellent SOPs and ensure everybody follows those SOPs in your hotel. You will know a wash and change room and lead time. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. You can take the quiz, which is there in the description, and hope to see you in the next videos in my series. Thank you. Have a wonderful day ahead.